Hell yes. What's up? Hello, everybody. Hamilton here with my co-host Josh. Welcome to the Crypto Report, May 2nd, 2025. Josh, I only have about 15 minutes, so I'm going to give you the floor immediately. You've been on top of this for the last couple of weeks. You've absolutely nailed this swing back higher. What do we got coming for us?
I mean, we called the bottom in TTI on Bitcoin and then largely crypto, and it's been playing to a T. Bitcoin nearly at 98K today. Now, how much of this is Michael Saylor buying versus actual demand? But at this point, it doesn't matter. We're back in the range, and we're heading back to all-time highs, at least range highs. So it's an exciting day for crypto. It's an exciting day for Bitcoin, and I think the resilience of Bitcoin during the last month to 2 months during this economic uncertainty speaks for itself.
Let's talk really quick about Michael Saylor, because that does bring up an interesting point in terms of retail versus financial institution. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw Saylor into that financial institution equation, or at least we'll say professional money manager equation. Would you prefer retail buying, or would you prefer the big boys buying?
I would prefer anyone but Michael Saylor buying.
Okay. Well, at least the whole point though is buying pressure is increasing, demand is going up, and therefore price is going up, right? When demand eclipses supply, price goes up, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And I do want to point out, I don't want to get into the intangibles because we could talk an hour about strategy or micro strategy, whatever the fuck they're called now. Their strategy of buying Bitcoin. He was not buying on the way down as much as he is now buying on the swing back up. So it's important to understand that that floor was set without Saylor buying, right?
That is correct, and absolutely. And there's been evidence that when Bitcoin held off on those massive red days in U.S. equity markets, that wasn't Saylor buying. That was other funds buying. That was spot buyers, and that was Bitcoin proving itself to an extent. So, I joke about not, anyone but Saylor. He just recently announced he wants to buy $84 billion more. That is a risk to Bitcoin in the future. But for now, we'll take it. We got back into the range. And like I said, we're heading back to range highs. And Bitcoin, I think, has proven itself far better than it was, let's call it 2 months ago.
So let's theorize really quick about Bitcoin. You're absolutely right. TradFi markets got rocked. In particular, the Qs. NASDAQ was down 25% at its worst. Higher beta stuff got absolutely crushed. A lot of the higher risk, like speculative growth stocks that, the archetypes, some of them were down 40-50% from February through the beginning of April. I think the market bottomed April 7th. Bitcoin held up relatively well. It did not necessarily outperform on an absolute basis, but it did outperform on a relative basis. So, keeping true to the TTI tenets, particularly relative strength, is it reasonable to expect Bitcoin to outperform to the upside because it outperformed to the downside?
Absolutely. We're going to stick with relative strength. If it had it before, we expect it to continue. We've always said for the most part that Bitcoin is leading. So if we stick with that thesis, it's a pretty good idea that U.S. equities are able to rebound. We've been speaking in TTI about whether a bottom is in or not a lot recently. And again, if Bitcoin's leading, this is a strong indicator that equities are going to bounce as well, and that we would expect Bitcoin to continue to move higher. We looked at the ratio between Bitcoin and the Qs, and that was on the verge of breaking out to a new all-time high, which I believe it has continued that move now into a level never seen before. So with that relative strength, we would expect a continuation and make this move higher.
Absolutely agree, 100%. Okay, so we only have, another 9 or 10 minutes before I gotta go. I want to give you the floor for a trade at the end, but I do want to talk about our thesis behind the total crypto market cap. So for those of you that are in TTI listening to this later, maybe you're at work, you know that our risk on level is 3 trillion, right? We've called 3 trillion as kind of our line in the sand for a very long time. We talked about it last night during our monthly market blueprint. We said above 3 trillion, not only are we back in the game for buying Bitcoin, which we've already started, at least I've already started buying about a little bit at 92K. I'm waiting for the breakout above 103.5 to really size in more. I'm excited, and I think it's coming, by the way. So throw that out there as a caveat. Above 3 trillion in the total crypto market cap. Mr. Josh, are we buying shit coins and altcoins again?
Absolutely. I think over the last couple weeks, as the market has bounced back, it really has been a crypto picker's market. There have been a handful of assets that have strongly outperformed. We've been able to trade a handful of those in TTI. The funniest one is Fartcoin, but there are a number of other assets like Sui as an example that are doing well. And yeah, once you get above that 3 trillion, obviously we'll have to keep an eye on Total 3 and others. But that's a strong indicator telling us that this market is back to a risk on environment. It's back to that kind of sectoral flip from the 2021 highs, and that we want to start adding and trading those higher beta names, as well as having exposure to Bitcoin through either spot holdings or IBIT.
You're absolutely right. And I want to point something out. There's a lot of people that are going to go out and say, well, you didn't buy the bottom, you didn't buy the dip, you didn't buy this. You know what? This is not a children's show. I'll say it. Fuck you. By not adding into altcoins below the 3 trillion area, we were able to dodge the 80 to 90% drawdowns on a lot of this hot trash that we will be buying now to the upside. So for those of you that are obsessed with timing the absolute bottoms, particularly in higher beta altcoins and stocks and everything else, feel free. I guarantee you're not going to last a couple cycles. You're going to blow up because you're going to make the wrong call at the wrong time. In this case, we're buying strength. And I think that's the big difference here is we are buying strength. The swing back up, 3 trillion is a line in the sand, up and over that. We're risk on again. Risk on outside of Bitcoin, by the way. It's not just BTC. Josh had mentioned Total 3. Why don't you go ahead and talk about what Total 3 is telling us really quick, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get this up right here. I mean, Total 3, much like Total, has bounced off the bottom low. The difference is that the leaders in the market, Bitcoin, Solana, I'll say Ethereum only because of the large market cap, but these are the assets that have really pulled Total up to that $3 trillion level. We still have others in Total 3, broadly a lot of crypto assets, range bound. Like I said, we're looking at picking the biggest winners in the market. Those are showing the biggest relative strength. Fartcoin, Hypecoin, Sui, Popcat, and the rest of the market is largely range bound. Like we have assets that are making new lows even while Bitcoin is now trading at nearly $98,000. And so what we need to see on Total 3 is, let's get above that 200-day moving average at about 857 billion, and then let's actually see that new all-time high. If we can get back above 1 to 1.1 trillion, that's when I think fireworks are going to start going off, and you're going to start seeing altcoins really move. Now, is every altcoin going to move? Of course not. There is still plenty of dog shit in the market, and there will continue to be that. So it does require some level of research and work to find those trades, but as others and Total 3 climbs, it's going to get much easier to just grab and hold something and watch it move, 5, 10, 20, 50% in a week.
I agree. And the cool thing is if we see Bitcoin really start to break out again, not only is Bitcoin breaking out, but you're also going to see a lot more retail popping back into the equation. Like, oh my God, the headlines are Bitcoin is breaking out to all-time highs. What's going on, right? It's not like, Bitcoin hasn't done a whole lot in the last couple of months, realistically, since November. Altcoins as well. People get bored, they move on. Well, once those headlines start coming out, retail's going to get sucked back in, particularly because Robinhood now allows crypto to be bought so easily. One thing to point out here on the Total 3 chart, at least for me, like you said, above the 200-day moving average is probably the first place we want to attack, and I agree. I don't know if I would wait for the absolute breakout up here at 1.12, but I do think above the 1.12 area would be positive confirmation that maybe it's time to push the gas pedal down. I think we do need to go ahead and start allocating to some of the more riskier areas showing relative strength up and over that 200-day moving average. As soon as we start to hit a couple higher highs on an intermediate time frame, looks like we might be pulling some sort of rounded bottom here. We get that. I think that's positive confirmation to at least start throwing cash into the shitcoin roulette, see which ones hit, and then above 1.12, I absolutely agree. I think at that point it's time to push the gas pedal down. We don't have time to go through the BTC dominance chart, but I would assume that if we're up and over 1.12 trillion, that BTC dominance starts to normalize a little bit as funds flow back into the riskier areas of the crypto market. For those of you that don't trade crypto exclusively, there are really two sides of the crypto sphere. There's Bitcoin and then there's everything else, and these things tend to shift when you see more money allocated towards that other side of the equation, so out of Bitcoin and into some of these altcoins. That is a very, very risk-on type of signal for us to get long things like Sui and Fartcoin and Cumrocket and all this other stupid shit that people come out with. So we got about 4 minutes. Josh, I want to give you the opportunity to talk through a trade idea that we have here. So in the future, we can look back and call you out for being a winner or a loser. Put you on the spot here. Give me a ticker here.
Give me 1 minute for something else and 3 minutes for that trade. 1 minute. So if we go to the others chart, so looking at total crypto market cap excluding the top 10, It tells a much clearer image of where our risk
There
on
we go.
level.
Above alt season, above this proprietary gray box. I already have it labeled.
There we go. Exactly. So, if we get above that, proprietary gray box, $250-ish billion, I think that's a kind of a better indicator for altcoin risk on versus total three, given the lack of market structure in total three and, being weighed down by some of those assets in the top 10, like XRP, like Solana, that have such large bloated market caps relative to the rest of the assets in crypto. So I think above 250 is a much clearer understanding of, okay, let's start allocating significantly more heavily. And then again, above that 200-day at around 280 billion is when we want to take that trade.
Fair enough.
Trade I'm looking at right now is it's available on Coinbase. Trying to make that clear for everyone who's listening. It's MogCoin. Everyone's like, what the fuck is he talking about? Essentially a meme coin, been around for about a year now on the Ethereum blockchain. Very popular, has a classic pattern we've seen in a lot of assets. Essentially the double bottom, except it's actually breaking back out of that double bottom, coming up to a key level at, there's too many zeros, so I'm just going to talk the numbers, around that 7.2 level.
Yep.
This is the same pattern we've seen on a lot of the winners in the market in the last few weeks. I point to Fartcoin because that was kind of the leading winner that we called out, and we're still riding that trade currently. But it bounces back to a key level. We see some level of consolidation, and then one morning you're going to wake up and there's a plus 20% candle, and it's well on its way.
Yep.
And so this is kind of where we're looking. We're watching this consolidation now. Arguably a bull flag from the bottom up to where we're currently priced. When we see that breakout past 7.75, we want to get long MogCoin. Use this kind of area of consolidation as the risk on, risk off level in terms of we see a breakdown below, we risk off. Obviously, it failed that range breakout, but take this to new all-time highs. We know how fast meme coins can run. Mog has a daily ADR, I'm guessing somewhere in the range of, I don't have it up, but I believe it's about
16%. Yeah.
And so, these can run hard. I did a performance strength check last night with TTI members via newsletter, looking at which sectors are running the hardest. No surprise, meme coins, dog coins, cat coins, they are running the hardest right now. They're the highest beta ADR in the market. And so when we're seeing moves like we are in Bitcoin going to 90K, 94K, 98K, these are the assets that are the fastest and hardest moving ones out of the bottoms. So it's our responsibility to own these until the trade isn't working.
So your risk on is 75? I just want to make that clear.
Yes, correct. Above 75.
All right, let's
ensure the break.
Move that to 75. Ensure the breakout. This is, for those of you inside of TTI watching this is just basically our IPO range breakout high setup, except we're doing it in the crypto market instead, which is totally fine. Josh had identified correctly, by the way, a little bull flag here going on. I don't know if I can draw it correctly or not. A little bull flag there. We should see a pop up and resolution to the upside. His risk on is 75. We have profit targets, follow the fibs up, but realistically, when you're in these things and they start going, it's a vibe trade, baby. You just set some stops and you take a little bit out and just move your stops up as the thing continues to go. I've said this over and over and over and over, but back in 2020 through 2022, we had members inside of TTI take, $50 to $5,000, 10,000 to 100,000. I mean, shit like that was not out of the realm of ordinary. Can't guarantee that again, but what I will say is it's very difficult to find those types of moods, or damn near impossible in the TradFi market. It's not impossible in the crypto market. We've done it before. Good chance the next cycle to the upside will have a couple winners like that again. Which ones? I have no idea. I mean, last time it was what were the big ones last time? Cum Rocket was one.
Shiba,
Cum Rocket,
Safe Moon.
Yeah, I mean, just absolute dog shit. Like, no pun intended. Just absolute crap stuff. But it was running, whether or not it's a Ponzi scheme for us doesn't matter as long as we're making dollars on it and we're out before it blows up. It is what it is. Trading vehicles, we're not marrying them, we're just trading them. So yeah, I think this is great. IPO range breakout high above 75. Give you the handshake on that one.
I would flag it is newly listed on Coinbase. So if you check one of the other, I think crypto, when you search the name up, it'll just say crypto cap. It gives the full history of the coin. You can see how extensive it is. It has been around since, before this year, well into 2024, potentially even, where are we looking here? July 2023, this coin launched. So it has a lot of chart history. And so we are kind of breaking a bunch of this key support area. So less of an IPO range, more of a rounded bottom.
Still like it. It's the
But
same. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
yeah,
It's definitely not an IPO range breakout high in the sense that if it's been around since July of 2023, but it's the same setup. You're right. Absolute rounded bottom here. We have an overhead supply zone we can take the breakout of. To me, it's damn near the exact same setup. I mean, I still like it above.
yeah, exactly.
the
And the
75.
benefit is that people complain they didn't hit the bottom on a trade. Look at the chart. You're essentially hitting the bottom, but you're doing it with clear risk on, risk off levels, and you're not catching a knife. I
Yeah.
don't think there's really a better R&R kind of thought process for a trade like this when you've seen other examples work. Popcat worked, Fartcoin worked. A bunch of the AI kind of meme shit names had the exact same layout here. So this trade is working. It's just a matter if folks are going to actually put capital behind it.
Understood. Okay, Josh, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for showing up. Guys, if you have any questions for Josh about Bitcoin or MOG USD or literally anything crypto related, feel free to leave them as a comment below on the market research side. Josh will get back to you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks. Josh, thanks again. Catch you next Friday for the next crypto report.